You are watching the Deadfoot Diver Podcast with Curt, the Deadfoot Diver.
Welcome to the Deadfoot Diver Podcast, where we discuss everything diving, tech diving, and especially diving with disabilities. I am super excited today to have Jim Elliott and Tina Marie Hernandez from the organization DiveHeart. How's it going?
Good morning.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. So I actually just heard about DiveHeart a few months ago while I was doing research for this podcast. So tell me a bit about DiveHeart and how you guys got started.
Well, we're in the United States and we are a 501c3, so a registered charity. And we are 23 years old this year. And it was started by Jim, and it grew out of his, get this, love of helping people learn how to ski. People with disabilities learn how to ski. And he said, if people can learn how to ski, especially blind people, I wonder what we could do with people in the water, because he's always loved to dive. And he decided to take a shot and thought it was going to be a little club thing. And it turned into this worldwide movement, really, for getting people with disabilities in the water. And um, I think our highlight moment for us this year was a woman who never thought she was going to be able to dive again, came to one of our sessions and turned to us at the end of the session and said, "You made my year." And
Wow.
that kind of made ours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, diving helps people with disabilities in so many ways. It's incredible. I've learned that this year from starting as an adaptive diver. Again, after being a professional diver and then not diving for like 27 years. And actually, it was on a snorkeling trip in Cozumel last year that I met a lady who she actually had to use a walker to get on the boat. And she sat down next to me, and the entire dives, I was watching her. I wasn't even paying attention to the wildlife. I was like, I can do that again.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes it comes to people in different ways. We get some volunteers who are so enthusiastic about it, they go up to people in parking lots and they're like, "Do you know that you could dive?"
Yeah.
And it seems a little bit strange, but I think we've actually gotten some new divers out of the approach.
Yeah. Poor guy in a wheelchair gets scared. Somebody runs up to him with a DiveHeart shirt. I was like, so. But we also do. You
No.
mentioned. Go ahead. No, I was going to say. Also, you mentioned Cozumel, and we were there this year and last year. We go there several times a year because it's cheaper than Florida, and we love the current. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially after COVID. Everybody in the U.S. We used to go to Florida 4 or 5 times a year during the summer, and after COVID, you couldn't fly to other countries, right, at that time. So everybody in the U.S. got in their car and went down to the Keys, and all of a sudden it's like booming, and then all the prices went up, and they haven't come down like on lodging, and that's the biggest hit for us is finding accessible lodging that's affordable.
Right. We're gonna try again this year, though.
Yeah.
We need to get back to Florida. It's a beautiful place to dive, and it's great when we bring the younger set of people who might not be ready for international travel yet.
Mhm. And we just did a documentary that came out in November, right before DEMA, the big dive show in Vegas, and it's called The Legend of the Statue. And we pulled in a filmmaker friend, David Marsh, who did an award-winning documentary called Adapting to Dive. And he did this Legend of the Statue, and we premiered it right before DEMA and turned a lot of people onto it there. So it's pretty cool about how the Christ statue down in Key Largo got there from Italy. Cressy donated it. It's really interesting. It's about 30 minutes, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was watching it. It's an incredible documentary. And for anybody out there who has not taken a look at Jim's YouTube channel for DiveHeart, check it out. It's absolutely incredible. You will have trouble keeping a dry eye watching any of the videos, especially when he's interviewing all the adaptive divers and how much it's changed their life. Which I mean, I as an adaptive diver totally get. I get that way now a lot, actually, still even because it's amazing. Basically you're free.
Mhm. Yeah, freedom's the word for sure. Yeah, so Cozumel, I was going to mention we've always knew this was inherently therapeutic. So we started working with university medical centers years ago, and just 3 years ago we were approached by Mayo Clinic to present at their annual conference. Well, they came up to us at DEMA, the dive show, and I said, "Well, where is your conference?" And they go, "Cozumel, Mexico." And I laughed, and I said, "Well, that makes sense. You are approaching me at DEMA, the big dive show." And so last year we presented on physical disabilities and scuba therapy. This year we presented on cognitive disabilities, and next year we've been invited back. And one of our divers, who's a doc, one of our
Pardon me.
divers who's a doctor at Rutgers, and is also a wheelchair user. He's an Air Force vet. He's a paraplegic, and he is going to be he's going to be presenting and talking about all the doctor stuff that they'll understand, right? It'll be above our pay grade, but
Which is awesome because I mean a lot of people discount the medical benefits of scuba diving. And
mhm.
that's one thing that you cannot deny anybody who has been involved with it, anybody who knows anything about hyperbaric medicine. It has a huge amount of benefits uh, for it. Can you
Last
tell me about some of that, what you've seen?
Yeah, we've actually usually the second day of a dive trip, somebody rolls up to us in a wheelchair and says, "You're not going to believe this. I've been in chronic pain for like 10 years. This is the first time I've been pain free since my injury." In fact, Ian Brown, this doctor who's going to be presenting at Mayo on our behalf next year, is the one who said, "Jim, when I went home after a week diving in Cozumel, we had a veterans trip." And he said, "I was home 2 weeks pain free, and then the chronic pain started coming back." So if you get them deep enough, we know John Hopkins came to us and said, had 12 vets with spinal cord injuries and PTSD, and said if you go to 66 feet, 3 atmospheres, there's an extra output of serotonin, which helps with not only pain management, but during their pilot study in 2011, they found that 80% of the PTSD symptoms in the veterans were alleviated, which is why really just and everybody gets out of the water and they just feel so much better if they can get a little deep. We've done 11 years of adaptive scuba symposiums too, where we invite hyperbaric physicians from Duke or rehab docs from Northwestern to come and present on some of the benefits of scuba therapy. So we knew a long time ago that this was therapeutic and just started reaching out to the medical community therapists, OTs, PTs, rec therapists, as well as rehab docs and stuff. And Mayo wants to do some research. They said to us this year they want to begin doing some research. They're going to get what is called an IRB, which you need to get at a university medical center to do any kind of human research. So we're looking forward to that. I said, if you get the IRB, we'll get in the water, make sure everybody is safe. That's really what we do. And one of our goals, we're at a point now, 23 years in, is we want to replicate what we see in open water in a warm, confined environment. So it took us 6 years, but we have 3 patents in the US and Canada on the design of this pool, the deep pools right now, and we started this process. There were no pools 130 feet deep. Now Dubai, of course, is almost 200 feet deep, but the design is very similar to Nemo 33 in Brussels, which is really the first pool. Is probably about 25 years old, I think, at this point. But they have a couple ledges and then they have a tube, and that's really where the depth comes from. But you can only put like X number of people in that tube. So if you could put 20 people here, you can't put 20 here and 20 here, because if there's an emergency at 100 feet, you can't, you got to go through 2 groups of people. So ours terrace is up and out. It kind of telescopes, and there's a 10-foot ledge at every atmosphere. So 99, 66, 33. And we figured with the staging area included, where you have a 3-foot area that goes We could put almost 300 people in the pool at once. It's scary.
Wow.
Yeah, I
You can
know.
put 300 people in that pool.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and that's one of 3 pools we'll have in the complex that we want to build.
Assuming they stay in their lane.
Right. Yeah, everyone can ascend to the surface without interfering with anyone else. So they'll have zones, and then
Yep.
it'll be, and if we keep people, we figured 15 teams of 4, 15 feet apart, and you go around the whole perimeter at each atmosphere, and then the staging area. We figured, yeah, it was kind of scary. We're like 300 people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but think of the benefits that that pool is gonna bring to everybody,
yeah.
and are you guys gonna use it for other types of training and stuff as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so rehabilitation, recreational training, adaptive training, maybe
Commercial.
some commercial training. So we're going to try and open it up to as much and to as many people as we can and bring the benefits of diving to as many people as we can. This is our big reach to really expand uh, offering you know, this type of experience to so many more people. Because even if you live in an area where you can dive, there's so many people who don't because of cost, barriers and things like that, or fear of the water. One of our big things is trying to expose more younger people, the safety, how to be safe in the water or near the water.
Mhm.
Given that we live in the Chicagoland area, we're by a big body of water. It's not an ocean, but it's still a big body of water.
Yep.
So those are some of the things we hope to be able to deliver once we have the pool.
Yeah, when we launched earlier this year in February, and we got probably $1 million in publicity, front page of the Chicago Tribune and other papers and TV and radio and all that stuff. And immediately, the president of the American Freedivers Association contacted us with his medical director. In fact, his medical director was on a Zoom call with us from Poland. He had just dove the deep pool in Poland, and freediving stuff. So they're
Wow.
very excited. They said, any way we can help you promote this. So we probably have about $3 million in in-kind donations over the last, several years, architects and engineers, and we have land donated to us near Great Lakes Naval Base, where that's the only place that Navy divers get trained up in the U.S. is in the
Wow.
Chicagoland area in a city called North Chicago. So now I have 20 consultants saying, we've helped you this far. Now, if you're going to stick a shovel in the ground, you got to get some cash. So that's the stage we're headed to now after the holidays. All of the people are going to help us get in front of the right people said, wait till the election's over. And so we did that.
Yeah.
And now we're waiting till New Year's is over, and then we're going to hit the ground running. So
Well, maybe Elon Musk can write a big check for you and just finish it off all in one shot.
it's not what you know, right? It's
Yeah.
get in front of the right people. The story sells itself. I mean, you mentioned our YouTube channel, and whenever a new person wants to volunteer or participate, I'll go to our YouTube playlist, and if they have autism or a spinal cord injury, I mean, we can pull out 20 stories on veterans and send that our military playlist, send that to a VA hospital, and then they share it with people there, and all of a sudden everybody gets it before we ever get together.
Right. And we do have some fun and funny videos to that on that YouTube channel too, and our music video. So,
Cool.
We have a we
Yeah.
have a we have a crazy video I got to tell you about because Tina brought it up. Is years ago I was on a trip and had a full face mask, and we all had communication units on, right? So we push a button and talk to each other. Well, it was really warm and surgy, and I wasn't feeling well. And this is down in Florida, and so I'm gonna throw up, and I'm like, oh my god, I have a full face mask on. How am I gonna throw up? And just on the fly, I thought, well, if I pull the tabs away and I keep the seal at the surface of my face, and I hit the purge, the pressure will push out. So it was like, whoa. Ugh. So I did it, and it came off successfully. So I got David Marsh just a couple years ago to do a video, and we did a demonstration, and that's on our YouTube channel too. So Tina Marie said, some of the fun stuff, that's one of the fun things. But she was just on a Women of DiveHeart trip. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah, I was on a Women of DiveHeart trip, and it was awful out there. We're rocking and rolling. Everyone's not feeling well. We're all like, let's get in the water so that we don't get sick. We're still getting sick at the surface. Almost everybody went down. And we had one brand new diver, and she's the only one that was using a full face mask, and she got sick in her full face mask. And I gotta say that she's a hero of mine now because not only did she get sick, but then she created a new signal for us to understand. And she rinsed her face off, and we rinsed out the full face mask. She put it back on, and they had to submerge about 5 feet so that they could swim back to the boat. That's it. It was just bad.
Wow.
And afterwards, she's like, "Let's go again." And I'm like, I think I would have just quit diving right then if that had been my experience. But she's a hero. She's like, "No, let's do it. I survived. Let's go again." So,
It was funny. Some of the instructors after that happened who were on the trip with Tina Marie, they start texting me going, "Hey Jim, we're watching your full face mask throw up video."
because it's no longer theory.
It's not theory, it happens, right? So,
That's awesome. Do you guys use a lot of full face masks in your training?
We do. We introduced the full face mask to our very first level of adaptive buddy, and that's because they could be on a team with a person using a full face mask, and it's good for them to know that they exist, how they work, what's going on. And then for the person who's going to lead that team, or a person who's going to be the lead buddy on a team, um, they need to have a little bit more training. And then for an instructor, we ask them to be a full face mask instructor as well. And we put people through some certain exercises for advanced buddy and for instructor. And we want them to be very comfortable with it, know how to dive with one, as well as know how to help a person to dive with one. And a lot of times, the reason that a person's using a full face mask is either they can't successfully use the standard regulator, or they might have a condition where maybe they have to cough, or they get really tired quickly in their mouth, so that's not good. Or we've worked with veterans who've had um face, disformities, and so it's easier to get a full face mask and get it fitted for them than to try and use a standard regulator. So we do have, I don't know, what would you say, maybe 10% of the people we work with um end up using a full face mask. And sometimes with the younger people even, um it's easier for them. We go with our standard equipment until it's not working. And the person we were working with this time, she started and knows how to dive with standard equipment, but her preference was the full face mask.
she has a traumatic brain injury. Yeah, we started using 27 years ago when I started teaching people with disabilities to scuba dive. I thought, there's not going to be anything in this for blind people. This is going to be a waste of time because you need visual references for your buoyancy and stuff. So until I did the blind training, and I'm going, oh wow, this is cool. How do we make it better? And that's when we introduced the full face mask with communications, and thought if we put their hands on something, now we can talk to them and narrate them through the dive and make it more cool for them so they can feel stuff and go, oh, this is the prop of the boat or whatever. And then we started using it for, like Tina Marie said, kids with autism, traumatic brain injuries, Down syndrome, all that kind of stuff. So we use it a lot.
Wow. Do you find with somebody with a significant disability that it takes a lot of extra time to train them in a full face mask for them to get comfortable with it?
I don't think it takes a lot of time. We do everything pretty much for somebody with a severe disability, and we use them. We have programs here in Chicagoland. We use them like every session with certain people, and we make sure it's on them correctly. We drop below the surface to make sure the chin is set right, and everything's working. There's no air leaking at the top and stuff like that. And we really control their equipment too. If they need help with ascents and descents or out of air emergencies or any of that kind of stuff, they need an advanced team. So we created a level of certification in our buddy program called Advanced Adaptive Dive Buddy. So somebody that was a dive master or rescue diver who was really good in the water, but they didn't want to become an instructor, let's say, but
Yep.
they could handle a quadriplegic or something like that. We created that level. And like Tina Marie said, that person has to be really master using a full face mask along with the instructors. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, that's
it's interesting that some of the people that do use the full face mask, if they are able, they learn how to bail out of it and use a standard regulator. If there was an emergency, we also have protocols so that they wouldn't have to switch out of the mask themselves because we have extra hoses. So, like, if their tank is low, which never happens, when their tank
right.
is low, we can take our octo and click it onto their
Yeah,
mask
we have
and
a
use our air.
Yeah, we have a quick disconnect on the full face mask. So we developed the
Wow.
protocol a long time ago, and it's the same thing they used when they got the soccer team out of in Thailand. They got the kids out of the tunnel.
Oh
It's the
yeah,
same
yeah.
same protocol. We've been using it. We started using it 10 years before that, where I would have a 6-foot hose with a quick disconnect in my pocket, and let's say a high pressure hose blew on the diver's kit. Now all of a sudden that air's gone like that, right? So we just reach up and pop off their hose, pop out mine. Now they're breathing off of my tank, right? And we like it too because the 6-foot hose allows us to transfer somebody with the mask on back onto the transom of the boat. Right, we get that
Yeah.
extra hose to get them back up there. Now the guys on the boat can open the surface breathing port and disconnect the my hose from them and then carry them back to their wheelchair, for example. So it took time to develop all this, but it's really cool and it's really safe.
That's awesome. What kind of full face mask do you guys use?
We use Ocean Reef mostly. Yeah,
Okay.
we have used Agas and OTS in the past, but those are really Ocean Reef. I love them because we have, especially when they're clear, all the way around. You can see any water if it gets in the mask. We had an incomplete quadriplegic one time. She was able to bring her hands up to the mask and push it into her face so that the nose block would go into her nose. And then she could equalize. So that's how you equalize with a full face mask, right? It's got the block inside, but you got to push up on it sometimes. So she would reach up to push up on it, but there's this the port right here, the surface breathing port. Every time she would come up, she would open it a little bit more and more. And all of a sudden I
Oh,
look in her eyes and she's like, "Oh my God." And I look and there's a little spray coming in because she's breathing in and she opened it. It doesn't flood in, but it sprays in a little bit. So she
yeah.
kind of freaks out. So I reach over, I close it, and I'm going, I closed it on the boat. How did that come undone? Well, then I started watching her closely, and I started realizing as she brought her hand up, she was turning that valve just a little bit each time. So when we got back on the boat, we briefed on what to do and what not to do. So learning experience, right? Always good divers are always learning, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys came up with pretty well most of the protocols for adaptive diving, did you not?
We have a lot of unique stuff that no one else. I mean, no one else. They might be doing it now because our stuff is out there. We launched our program in 2014, so there's a lot. Like I didn't know anybody that was using full face masks at all for people with disabilities. So we kind of introduced that. We have a protocol now where I came up on one trip in Cozumel and we had 4 teams of quads. So I got 4 teams of 4 people, and the boat comes up and says, "Get on," and we go, "You're not our dive operator." And they go, "Yeah, I know your boat broke down and it's on the other end of the island. Now I got 4 quads with no chairs, with no
Oh,
catheters, with no, I mean, no pads that they can sit on. So we had to improvise really quick, just from the side of the boat to the transom. I'm barking orders at instructors, and we're getting the right people on the boat to transfer up. I said, get some of those orange life vests. I said, we're going to put them on the life vests until we can, and then get the chairs back and stuff. So they sent a quick boat down, and they brought them back, but it taught us, because there were no catheters, and if people don't cath when they get out of the water, they could get something called autonomic dysreflexia, and that
Oh,
could
really?
make their blood that could make their blood pressure go up, and they could actually have a stroke. So we had to get this done really quick. So when everything happened and we got all the materials back and it was all okay, we decided that we were going to make now adaptive divers that needed to cath. They would carry their own catheter in their BCD, and we would carry an extra one with us. So if this ever happened again, everybody would at least be able to catheterize and not have a stroke. So
Yeah, we see it as part of our responsibility since we get all the hard cases, or a lot of them, not all of them, but we get a lot of hard cases and we learn lessons like this that, we see it as part of our mission to learn from it and then to let everybody else know so that they don't fall into the same, possibility. But what was cool about that experience was it was at the end of 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020. So during the 2020 lockdown, we reached out to medical professionals, to our friends at Dan and Duke Medicine and other, doctors, and we talked to them about this situation. And we talked to them about, what if we lost the integrity of the catheter? What if, the seal broke or something? And each doctor was like, we'd much rather deal with an infection than with a stroke. So,
Yeah.
and then, we're thinking about, okay, do we make sure that the buddy has it? Well, what if the buddy and the adaptive diver get separated? So it came down to, yes, we're going to have the person with the disability who requires the catheter has to dive with the catheter. But then we also um, had people that were awesome, and they went to 100 feet with catheters testing the integrity of the seal and making sure that it doesn't break, or what's the best way to carry it down and things like that. So those are the type of things that we do that hopefully makes diving safer for everybody, especially people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys do that. I would never even thought about the catheter situation on a boat. Like that could be a big, big problem.
I learned on the fly. That was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes not the best way you want to learn in those
No,
situations.
yeah. The good thing about that though is in diving in Cozumel, you're typically not too far from the shore. So
Yeah.
if there was an emergency, we were going to be able to get that person back to a dock and then call in the people to help if we needed to. But all worked out well.
Yeah, that's good that you guys have that kind of stuff covered. I mean, when I was in Jamaica, actually, I was surprised because I had been every time I was walking and somebody seen and knew I was diving. And then with my disability, because I walk around with a brace all the time and stuff, they're like, "Hey, have you ever heard of DiveHeart?" I'm like, "No." So, and it was, I mean, I had people stopping me in the elevator and telling me about DiveHeart.
That's funny.
That's good. That's
So,
good. We
yeah,
always
no,
tell I was just saying, when we start a trip, we had 50 people in Cozumel just a couple weeks ago, and we do what we call a go round, where we introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about. That way, everybody knows who the instructors are in the room and the dive masters, and some people who are adaptive divers. They want to talk a little bit about, how they found us or what their conditions are. And it's kind of a great way for everybody to get to know each other. And some people discover things about people they thought they knew, which they all of a sudden like, oh my God, I didn't realize that you've a brother with autism or something like that. And so we do that. We do that go around, and it really helps on trips. And we do that the first night and the last night. And the documentary Adapting to Dive, we're doing it the last night, and you saw it, right?
yep, yeah, I
It's a
seen it.
pretty
It's
powerful
awesome. I
ending.
mean, hardly anybody had a dry eye in the whole place when you guys were filming it. I mean, which I totally get because it's not only that, for somebody like me, for instance, being in an environment like that, that helps me as well, seeing other people with challenges being able to dive. Like, I'm really excited about actually becoming an adaptive dive buddy because of that reason. It's going to help me. It's going to help them. I mean, it's an amazing thing to do.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways that people need to heal or need to feel hope or need to feel, you know, um, good about, carrying on. And I feel like the programs and diving just in general helps us all in that way.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that is one of the huge benefits I have found is mental health out of scuba diving. And especially with I had years of depression and stuff that didn't go away, and I had all kinds of trouble dealing with and stuff. And my wife cannot believe the difference in me in just 1 year of diving. She's fully behind this. Because of what she's seen the difference in me in.
Mhm. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. We had a guy who I trained in Detroit, and he ended up down in Florida at a dive shop. And he called me after this guy rolled into the dive shop in a wheelchair. And the guy's just kind of tooling around, looking at all the equipment. And this friend goes, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Well, I have a spinal cord injury, and I used to be a diver. And, I miss just the smell of the equipment. And so I came in to just look at the equipment." And my friend goes, "Well, you can still dive." And the guy's like, "Don't mess with me." He goes, "No, you can." And so he got him certified. And the guy's wife came in like after, and says, "Oh my God, what a difference you've made in my husband's life. Thank you so much." So,
Yeah.
awareness is a big part of it. So during the go round, we always say there's two things you want to remember. It's all about adapting, and it's all about branding. So
Yeah.
so when you run into people and they go dive hard, it's part of our mission is out there to create awareness for the brand too.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Deadfoot Diver. Subscribe and share. Your support means the world to me. If you'd like to contribute directly, you can do so at the link in the description at buymeacoffee.com/DeadfootDiver. Every donation helps me work towards earning my adaptive dive buddy certification, travel costs to help me assist other adaptive divers, and covering further training and equipment costs, bringing you on even more exciting adventures. Don't forget to check out my guest links in the description. And remember, grab an adventure and live, and don't ever let a disability keep you down. Which is amazing. So, what if somebody wants to become an adaptive dive buddy with you? What's the process and the training that they have to go through to do that?
Right now, they could reach out or go to the website. There's a whole page on training, and it requires um, bookwork, online training, and then in water training. And um, some of our instructors approach it differently. For the in water part, the online training takes about 4 hours. The book, it's just however long it takes you to read it. And it's available in print, like in a paperback or online. So like if you have a
Okay.
Kindle or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, but then some instructors do it over a number of like weekends, or they can do it over a 4-day period. It's roughly 3 full days of confined water and 1 full day of open water.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
and clinics too. Yeah.
oh, and a day of land, or 1 day of land clinics, 2 days of confined water, and 1 day of open water. Sorry. Um,
Okay.
and then we're looking this next quarter um, to hopefully combine our online training so that you will no longer need to buy the book. You'll just have everything um, online for you. So
Okay.
we'll
Cool.
see. That's a big project for me the beginning of this year.
We want to make it easy
So,
for people to use these to
yeah,
study.
which is helpful.
Yeah.
What so tell me, how much just to bring awareness to this, how much trouble do you guys have getting dive buddies?
I don't right at this point, 23 years in, we really don't have trouble because people find us. They do Google searches, and
Yep.
it's really funny, not only on the training side, but also on the medical side, because in 2020, when COVID hit, we canceled 14 trips and 200 pool programs around the US. And that doesn't include what we do in Malaysia and other places around the world. And out of nowhere, we just stopped everything. And out of nowhere, 5 occupational therapy doctoral candidates did their dissertations with us. And now we
Wow.
have the ability to offer occupational therapists, physical therapists, and recreational therapists continuing education credits. So we'll get in front of a university group and they'll get credit for, doctors or therapists or whatever.
Wow, that's awesome. Because
Yeah.
I know up here, I know that Hubert, he always has trouble getting enough dive buddies. He's always short on people. I that's another reason that I want to get my adaptive dive buddy cert, is just so that if I'm on vacation somewhere and I run into somebody who's able to dive but can't because they don't have another dive buddy available, I want to be able to assist in that way.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I think we're going to be moving in that direction just overall, because a lot of the conversations I have is we get calls all the time. Where can I dive if I can't go on a trip with you? And then how do we find buddies? And then even the resorts are like, how can we get programs set up so that if someone comes to us and requires an additional assistance, that maybe we can use pardon me, the other people on the island can get trained up and we can trade with them, come and help people who require assistance. But then when we don't have someone and we have an open spot on the boat, just come and dive um, for free as a thank you.
yeah,
And we're hoping that programs like that can be successful, and then you don't need to travel. I mean, if your buddy is your father or sister or best friend, great. But if you want to travel alone, you can hopefully then come to a place, and not only is the staff, trained up, but now there's buddies that would come and dive with you and make it fun, and you don't have to pay extra money to have it happen.
And our program also offers a certification for pool buddy. So if you like this time of year, right, where nobody's diving in North America for the most part,
I am.
and well, yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, taking people with disabilities in open water, even in the summer, and lakes and quarries is daunting. Sometimes you have to put them in dry suits and stuff like that, which is crazy.
Oh yeah.
So we have a pool certification program where, in fact, I think just recently we had one in northern Minnesota where, or Michigan, where they were working and getting buddies trained up so they could have regular programs with the local VA hospital or the local rehab center where they could bring people in on a regular basis and get them out of their wheelchairs, get them in the water. And now everybody's trained up. Yeah, they're not doing open water yet, but at least they can have regular freedom experiences
Yep.
out of their chair by escaping gravity in pools. So every community pretty much has a pool. So
Yeah, pool programs.
yeah.
So with the pool programs, with your new pool that you're building, what covers the cost for an adaptive diver if they want to join your program? Because diving's not cheap.
Right now, we put it at roughly $100 a dive, for covering someone. But with our pool programs today, we don't charge any money. So that's what it cost us to have, to cover a person to dive with us. And that includes, we get all the equipment, we have the buddies come, we
Insurance.
do the
Yeah.
insurance. Insurance is our biggest
Oh yeah.
expense,
Yeah.
all the maintenance, all that type of thing. Um,
So we budget like 150 a person.
yeah.
Yeah. And so that if we have 10 people in the water at a given event, that we budget in our mind $1,500, right? 150 times 10. And so that's kind of how we determine what our budget is and how many programs we can do and stuff like that. So when somebody wants to support us, we're like, well, you could support one diver for one event for $150, or you could give us, $1,500 and help 10 divers get in the water. But we don't charge anything. We don't charge the adaptive diver anything.
Right. And, when we have the larger pool, hopefully that won't change, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, and that's part of the reason why we're raising. We're not only getting the money to build the pool, but we're also trying to get the money for endowment
Mhm.
so that we can continue to offer these types of programs for free. And that's always been our major um, goal because we don't want it to be a barrier for someone who really needs it, right? Someone who they could get so much benefit out of it. It would be um it would it wouldn't be right for us not to be able to get them in the water. So that's part of the money that we're trying to raise is so that we also have the endowment to let people continue to use the pool for free.
That's amazing that you guys do that because a lot of people with disabilities don't have the cash to be able to scuba dive. And so you guys are giving thousands of people the advantage to be able to actually do this that normally would not be able to do this at all, even just based on their current financial situation or anything, which is
Mhm.
awesome.
And we're blessed that, divers are very generous in that, and I was just telling someone, they're like, "Oh, I'm seeing that new equipment." I'm like, "Well, you could donate your old equipment to us,
Mhm.
and then now you've done a good thing and you can go and buy your new equipment without any guilt." And what we do with that donation, that type of donation is we'll evaluate it. We'll say, "Can we use it in our programs?" If we can use it in our programs, great, or we can put it into what we kind of call the area where, like, if an adaptive diver comes to us and they get trained up and now they want to come or they're coming on a regular basis to the pool, we try and get them kitted up so that they have their own kit and they can come back and forth and they take care of it. And if they come on a trip, they can bring, they have their own equipment. And that really was born also out of COVID, right? Because trying to keep everyone's stuff clean and, all the protocols that were required, we found that it was much easier and safer just to have the person keep their equipment. This
Yeah.
way, they're always using the same one and they know where it's been and they are the person who uses it. So, because of all these generous people who are able to donate their used, loved and used equipment, if we can continue to love and use it, we will do that and we give it to an adaptive diver.
Also, it's really funny. You realize how people covet their scuba equipment. I mean, they love it. They love it. They don't want to get rid of it. I mean, they've had it in the closet for 30 years, but and they've only used it 3 times, right? But it's amazing how personal the dive gear is. And people will give us stuff like we'll get like wetsuits that are like cardboard. They're so stiff. And we'll take all the wetsuits that we can't use and we bring them to a recycler. And what we do with the recycler then turns them into coasters, like DiveHeart coasters with our logo.
Really?
Yeah, or we may have yoga mats and we have welcome mats. So instead of the wetsuit going into a landfill, yeah, that's our superhero one. Instead
Wow.
of it going into a landfill, we then repurpose it, and then we go to like at DEMA, the big dive show we just did, Lava Rubber, who makes them for us, and scuba.com, we kind of all teamed up, and we had like 1,000 coasters that we were able to share with people at the show and stuff like that. So it's just a fun, cool way of repurposing stuff.
By the way, I'm gonna have all the links to your site down below here, below the video, and also to your YouTube channel and stuff.
Awesome.
So that hopefully we can get you a lot more viewers and a lot more donations.
I love
So,
it.
but that's awesome because I mean, so many people I know they buy stuff, use something for a year or so, stick it in the closet, like you said, never touch it again.
And it's
That's
personal. I mean, the value, some people go, the value to them is incredible. And they'll say, well, I went to a dive shop and I wanted to see if they wanted to buy my old stuff. And of course, dive shops don't want anything to do with your old stuff. So they'll say, give it to Dive Heart. So
Yeah, it's like it's funny. It's the same thing like old guitars, right? You know, somebody's got an old we got an old guitar sitting here that apparently Bob Dylan played, but there's no proof of it. So like it's like, okay, I had this guy dive with this gear, right? Oh,
And
well,
let me
that
tell
makes
you,
sense.
some of the stuff we get, it looks like Jacques Cousteau would go, "This is
Right,
kinda old."
right.
This
We do keep
Really?
some retro we do have some, like, cool retro double hose regulators kinda on display in our outreach center, and we have a MacGyver, he's wonderful, he runs our dive locker, we have 2,000 square feet of gear, right? And we'll get
Wow.
spear guns in, and he loves, like, taking things apart and refurbishing them, and he's really good with wood, and he, will just make it look new, and now we have a whole display of spear guns up on the up on the wall. It's kind of fun.
we don't take anyone spear fishing.
Yeah, we don't. This
No?
Let's just make
No
that
line
clear.
for something?
We'll go
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
coral. We'll help the coral trees and we've done coral restoration dives. And we're trying to do more of that because I think it's really good for all divers to feel like they're giving back to the ocean, right? We all go down there and we know how beautiful it is and we know how delicate it is, and it's part of our mission to not just teach people how to dive but to appreciate and cherish that environment. So on a couple of our trips, and we'll be doing it more and more often, where there's an availability for us to do some coral restoration dives and to learn a little bit about how do we protect our ocean, we do that.
So what do you guys do for the coral restoration dives?
We've
Exactly.
actually taken our adaptive divers, like the team goes down and we do a couple of dives where we're cleaning the trees, that they're growing on, or clean the little
Wow.
coral babies to get the fungus off of them, or the algae, not the fungus, the algae, so that they can continue to grow. So, um, and each program has their own required training. So we do like a half day of training or whatever the training is required, and then we'll go do the dive. So that's been successful.
That's awesome because then you're also getting them involved in doing something active underwater
Mhm.
as well too.
Right. Yeah. Cause you don't want to, and everyone wants to feel helpful and have a purpose. And, it's not just about, oh, help me, me, me. When they're down there, they want to be as helpful as anybody else that's diving. So that's nice.
So I do have a quick question about a couple of questions about your trip to Cozumel, actually. What kind of what kind of logistics nightmare is it to take 50 divers who are all adaptive to Cozumel?
Well,
Oh, they're not all adaptive. We had 12 adaptive divers, and then we had our total count, I think, was 38 divers. Then we had diver adjacent people, caregivers and family and things like that. Um,
the way we do the math is, for every boat that holds between 20 and, like, 30 people, we'll say that we could put 4 wheelchairs on that boat, and we could have 2 people that ambulate, so maybe a kid with autism or something where they can walk around. Because you get beyond that many chairs on a boat, and then, it becomes a problem, but then we do the math where if you, need an adaptive team, you need 2 buddies. And if you need an advanced adaptive team, you need 3 buddies. So now we do the math. We go, okay, we have 6 people with disabilities. Here's the buddies that we need. And before we let any other divers on the boat, we try to do that math and make sure we get the right people on the boat first.
Right, because we do also have guest divers that wanna come and check it out, or, maybe and then we also bring, candidates. So maybe they're an instructor candidate or they're a buddy candidate. We're trying to make it so that, the candidates who come have already gone through a bunch of their training, so that we're not we used to just really put people through the ringer, and they would train all afternoon into the early evening, and then in the morning they'd wake up and they'd have to um dive, be the buddies and work, and it really was challenging. And Um, but now we're trying to be a little bit more gentle with people. And if they can get a bunch of their training done before they come on the trip,
That helps.
then it really
Yep.
helps. And it gives us an ability to do extra things like, doing a night dive with people and doing that type of thing. Cause now they're not just completely gassed at the end of the day.
Yeah, our certification program is the only one, to my knowledge, out there that requires you as an instructor, and in our case, an advanced adaptive dive buddy, we require you to have experiences before you get that certification. And that means where are you going to get that experience? Well, trips. So we don't do trips for the sake of trips. We do trips to get people those experiences that they need. And half of the experiences, if there's 30 experiences you need, half of them have to be in open water. So they all can't be in a pool. So that's what we try to do, because I trained years ago with a different organization that just did empathy stuff. Like, we're going to pretend you're blind. We're going to pretend you're a pair in a quad. And here's your card, Mr. Instructor. And after I trained like 1,000 buddies and instructors over a number of years, it's like, why aren't they a lot of them weren't doing anything with their certification. And I realized it was because they did not have the confidence and they did not have the experience to really work with people with disabilities. It was cool why Jim was there, you know what I mean, in the pool, because we
Yeah.
would build a scuba experience into the training. So you had some kind of hands-on before I left the market. But then when I left, I saw a lot of them weren't doing anything. So I just said, it took us 6 years to develop our program, but we launched it in 2014. So this is our 10th year of being a training agency. And yeah, I mean, I like to think we're the number one or the best one out there. We don't necessarily, we don't want, like Patty and stuff, we don't necessarily want to certify the most people. We just want to make sure that we're the best and the safest, because that's really, really important.
Yeah, which is awesome. Where do you guys all have training offices around the world, right? Guys that are
Well,
doing this?
yeah, what we've done now, what we're promoting is, when an instructor goes out in the world, um, we used to create teams, but that became a little bit too much for us because we're a very small core group. So what we do is we say, go out there, create a program of your own. We'll be here to help promote it. We'll be here to help you if you have questions. We'll be here to help you if you want to tag along on one of our trips until you feel comfortable or you feel like you have enough people to do this. So we've launched well over 50
50.
other nonprofits, helping them
Wow.
get on their feet. And now it's even around the world, right? We have people in the UK that have their own program. We have people in Malaysia and Borneo and
Mhm.
um, in the Philippines, and they all do their own programs. And we're here to, again, like what I said earlier, kind of lead the way, share what we know, share how they can be successful and safe and get people in the water the way that people want and need to be. And so then they train their buddies, and they what's wonderful about our training director is she's really good at connecting people, and she's really committed to learning what type of journey you're looking to be on as an adaptive buddy or as an adaptive diver or as an adaptive instructor. And so she's able to go, oh, well, you're in this part of the country. I'm going to send you to this instructor. They're going to help you do blah, blah, and blah. Or if you're willing, there's this other instructor who might be a really good mentor for you. You're both thinking of trying to do the same type of thing. And so she gets them connected. Um, and she helps make it happen for people. And that's another reason why I'm just really proud of the program that we're running right now, is that it's not just sign up, pay us, take your course. It's really because we don't have a gazillion people going through our training at once. We're able to do that focus and help people really figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, when you train with us, it's almost like when you're done, especially like after a trip, you feel like family. And that's really the feeling we want to get out there. We were 11 days I was 11 days in Borneo last year training instructors in Malaysia. And the instructors there said, please keep making the videos that you do on YouTube, because now when we go talk to a spinal cord injury group, instead of us standing there talking to a bunch of people in wheelchairs, we have like 10 stories that we can play videos now and go, here's what we do. And now you have somebody in a wheelchair talking about how they were injured and what this has done for them and stuff like that. So it really, really saves our instructors a lot of the time when they're trying to get programs going in different markets. And we become a partner. So any way that we can help promote, like we're promoting a training right now in Seattle. In
Wow.
Portland, Oregon, and we just promoted one right before DEMA in Utah, at the crater in Utah, where they had like 10 people in the water, I think. But so we become partners. We try to help promote what they do, and that's part of the benefit of being, with DiveHeart too.
Yeah, which is amazing that you guys do that, because which is definitely a benefit for people in the States to be able to have that kind of access to stuff. Because like I said, here, non-existent. I mean, even when I was trying to figure out my gear and stuff this year, it was all me. I had luckily I had a patient buddy who was a dive master that I dove with the majority of the time, and who also had a good spring-fed pond that we could use to do testing in. and stuff like that, because there's nobody within 6 hours of me that has any type of adaptive training at all. So I literally I can't count how many times I would drive to Tobermory, test out some gear. That didn't work. Okay, whatever. I did that for a reason though. Chose Tobermory because there are shipwrecks 50 feet off the shore, right
Oh,
at a place called the Tugs. So the first shipwreck actually is like 50 feet straight out from the steps, and it's in 5 feet of water. So the reason I wanted to do that was because that way, at least if my dive got scrubbed, I got to see a shipwreck. So I didn't care.
Right. Well, what we find is you need champions. For any program to be successful, you need to find a champion that's willing to get the people together. Because once you have that lead, it just things seem to fall into place. You're able to find more people that want to do it. It's just, I guess people get intimidated. Being that lead person can be a little overwhelming sometimes.
We I would, if I were you, or let's say I wanted to grow this in Canada, I would probably reach out to the medical community, to the therapy community, OTs and PTs and rec therapists and rehab docs, and say, hey, we want to do here what they're doing and what DiveHeart's doing around the world. And here's some of the videos that you could watch. And you send them a few of the best videos that we have, just short ones. And then they're all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh. And if they're divers, then they really get it. And that's kind of what Tina Marie's talking about, champions. I went right to our University Medical Center when I first started DiveHeart, and went to the head of physical therapy and started talking. And they weren't divers, and it was they dug what we were doing, but until an OT came on board, who was a professor, who was a diver, came over to our offices and sat down and really got dug into it. And he was, oh my God, I had no idea. This is amazing. And since then, we've done like 5 research studies. We did the first study with them on autism and scuba therapy. So, you just need somebody. And when that person goes away for whatever reason, then there's a drought again. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you just kind of keep looking for those people that'll help you.
Yeah, no, because we definitely need to eventually get a program set up here. I know I'm gonna have actually Lindy Leggett from the scuba gym in Australia.
All right,
She's
right.
gonna be coming on as well. And I mean, her program's amazing as well for the therapy stuff that those guys do.
Mhm.
I mean, they've got some pretty incredible videos too of people that have not been able to use their limbs at all, barely out of the water, and then now they're actually able to do stuff underwater with it, which is amazing. Yeah. So when tell me about a bit more about what people can do to go and help you get this pool built so that we can help a lot more divers.
Well, we need to meet influencers and affluencers. So an influencer like yourself is sharing our story with people. An affluencer would be somebody with who could write a check, right? So meeting the right people is really important. Our largest donor doesn't dive, and we didn't know them at all, and they just saw one of our documentaries called Turning Point, and they called the next day, and this woman says, "My husband and I sat here and cried. Where do we send a check?" And then every year they've increased that. And so that the people who are going to help us build this pool, we have not met yet. So we need to get in front of people and corporations and things like that. People that want to see this happen on our continent, right? Because it's going to serve people in Canada and all of North America. And it'll be the only one like it in the world because, like I said, it took us 6 years to get 3 patents, and it's nothing like any of the pools that are out there now, and it can serve a lot of people. And it'll be nice warm water. It's going to be, our architects want to make it geothermal and solar, so it'll be pulling up warm, energy and things like that from the earth and
Yeah.
the sun.
But we're also looking, I believe the ocean's made up of droplets of water,
Mhm.
and that's how this pool is going to be built. And my goal is to see as many people be a part of building this pool as possible. So right now we're looking for, I think, 100 people to create a personal donation page for like $2,500, and you can ask all your friends to help donate to that donation page that'll go towards the pool. Or if you're a small business or a large business, we're looking for, corporate sponsors to become part of our founding 50. And that would be a $20,000 donation from your company or corporation, or, and those will be helping to make up our first couple million, towards the end goal. And the more people that we have doing those smaller donations, they will build up to the large money that we need.
Yeah, the cool thing about the fundraising pages is it's really, you're not writing a check out of your own pocket necessarily. You're creating this up and then you're pushing it out there to your friends and everybody in your community and stuff. And now it's like a team thing. Everybody is invested in it, like Tina Marie was saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I'm gonna do that for you guys. I'm gonna set up a donation
Thank you.
page on my site for you guys as well.
I love
So
it. Thank you.
I want to help, and I want to be there when this pool opens to try it and come down and see the reaction on some of these guys when they get in the water.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
I'm sure there is going to be a line.
oh, oh, I can imagine. That's the one thing, at least though, that with the pool that you're building, you're gonna service so many people. It's gonna help you guys immensely be able to support more adaptive divers with it, just because
Yeah.
of the flexibility you've got with a 150-foot pool.
Right.
It'll be a game changer, and I think it'll exponentially grow scuba in general, just for the general public even. Because, I mean, obviously people who don't have disabilities will be able to come and use it too. Instructors will be able to train, military, commercial, firefighters, all that will be able to. We've identified like 100 revenue streams, and if they all come to fruition, they all should help contribute to our budget and things like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
then we
yeah.
send them out into the world
Yeah.
so that they can go dive all the beautiful places that they can, you know.
Yep, which is amazing. Well, thank you very much. I am so glad to have you guys on today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to have links to all your stuff down below it here, and let's try and get you guys a lot of money raised, hopefully, so that we can get that pool built for you.
Thank
And
you.
Thank
I
you.
like that idea.
all right, so thank you for watching the Deadfoot Diver podcast. I'm Curt, the Deadfoot Diver, and I will see you next time on the Deadfoot Diver podcast. Okay.